Yeye wakati amekaa pale na familia yake, akiangalia familia yake, anaona kweli yako sawa. Wengine wanalia. Yeye hako wapi? Kwa ufupi, mimi nimesikia uchungu sana. Nimesikia uchungu kabisa na nimesikia roho yangu inaniumiza sana. So, after hapo, kesho, tuone kesho ni gani. Cause, mimi sioni mambo mengine. Asante Wanjiru.
Okay, mandugu zangu. Acha turudi saa moja kwa space tafadhali. Naomba tu by 7 p.m. East African time turudi hapa. So Wanjiru, let's end the space alafu tuunde hizi posters and everything and then come back here. There is a post yenye nimesha tweet. Just go through my timeline, repost, retweet, comment on it and then you can share. Otherwise, tukutane baadaye bana. I don't think it's the right time to have the space because we don't have that good traffic. Yeah, push what we are pushing for tomorrow. But najua in the evening, late in the evening, that is from 7 p.m. tunaweza anza space yetu vizuri.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me start by thanking my colleagues, the senators, for really raising very weighty issues that I have, as I already said, some we have been able to note, some we will get it from the Hansard, and those which are concerning policy issues, Mr. Speaker, will do the proper follow-up. I also would like to say on the floor of this House that considering the number of cases that IPOA is being requested to investigate, Mr. Speaker, from a policy perspective, it's important as a country that we give IPOA more support in terms of resources and ability to hire more investigators so that these cases are heard and resolved expeditiously. Because people are asking this question, Mr. Speaker, how come the one for Honorable Were was handled within a week or so on a shorter time, and how come this one is not moving at the same speed? So, Speaker, it must be understood that this is IPOA investigating police. On the other incident, it was the police themselves investigating a crime, and therefore the capacity, whereas they know enough resources on the DCI side, we believe that DCI has a greater capacity than the IPOA itself. Therefore, IPOA requires some level of support so that this can move expeditiously. The question Kenyans are asking is that, are we treating this case different from those that are affecting persons who are prominent, like a member of parliament and so? And I was saying, Mr. Speaker, it must be seen from the context that for the questions of investigation in Barakoi, for example, Angata Barakoi, Mr. Speaker, for example, and the case of this one for Albert, all of them are by IPOA, which has a smaller establishment than the DCI, and therefore the process gets slower if it was the efficiency and the capacity that the DCI has. It would have moved a little bit faster. Mr. Speaker, very few questions have been raised, but in depth, Senator Muma has asked policy review I already gave my undertaking already in the House earlier that when I came to office, I have instructed the team in my office to look not just at the law, but also the judicial decisions, including Justice Ogola's decision, Mr. Speaker, to see how we can mainstream them and improve the service standing orders or work on different regulations or establish a new legislation that can be able to fill the gaps. This is not an exercise that is confined only to the ministry, but also we can work together with the relevant committee of this House. Mr. Speaker, on the Commission of Inquiry and Inquest, I think those are very genuine legal, constitutional parameters that can be used, or instruments actually, that can be used to get to the truth. Where there is doubt that the truth can be found, these mechanisms can be utilized. However, Mr. Speaker, in the situation that we are, I think it's too early, considering that it was only 2 days ago to pass judgment that IPOA is unable to do these investigations. But should the investigations not bear any fruit, Mr. Speaker, those are instruments that can be considered by this House as ways of investigation. Mr. Speaker, on the curriculum, we have the curriculum. We have the curriculum, and as Senator Muma, having myself trained before on rights-based approach to development, I know what you mean by saying, talking about human rights approach to service delivery. The instruments are there, but the ability to disseminate it, to catch up with the older population that are already been trained, and also the ability for the National Police Service to have continuous training is constrained by resources and facilities. In fact, we might have this discussion another time. You know that all over the country, wherever you go, and for those who have been with me in the Jukwaa la Usalama, you realize that the National Police Service has many issues that needs to be dealt with. A police station, even for a police station to have a CCTV is just by luck, because some of them don't have OB, some of them don't have furniture, they don't even have a computer. We have shortage of vehicles. We have all many other challenges that this administration realized. That is why there was a police reform committee that was put in place to see how best are we going to enhance. And that's why we're doing procurement now for vehicles. We're trying to do digitalization and digitization, so that if you had the DCI properly, it told you that part of the occurrence book is reported digitally. And that's evidence that cannot easily be erased, not like a book or a paper within the police station. So there's a lot of work that we want to do on digitization and digitalization of the police service. But the challenge we still have is to work on the resource constraint that we have. So police officers are asking for basics: a police station with a cell, a police station with a vehicle. At the moment, OCS is sharing a vehicle with OCPD and so forth. And all this we are working on as a ministry, and this is an area that I put a greater emphasis to see that the police officers are resourced to do their work. Again, on the issue of Senator Beatrice Ogola, I am very clear, Senator Beatrice, I am very clear in my mind. I saw the father of the late Albert Ojwang, and like any other parent, I felt the pain of that parent. And the only possible gift we can give them in the time that they have lost their loved one, and it's even more painful when it's the only child, Mr. Speaker, is to promise them that we will do everything we can and to ensure that justice is done, and to ensure that those who perpetrated this heinous act are put behind bars, Mr. Speaker, so that they can suffer the pain of having inflicted this grievous bodily harm, which eventually resulted in the death of Albert Ojwang. Mr. Speaker, that is the little we can give. Of course, Mr. Speaker, as I said earlier, we are obligated as leaders and also as citizens, and also within this leadership of this ministry, to support their family, like Senator Veronica Maynard asked earlier, so that we, in a small way, we can be able to facilitate and help them to find ways of comforting themselves. But I tell you, Mr. Speaker, there is nothing actually that can compensate the loss of a child. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I stand with them, and I will do everything as a cabinet secretary to ensure that those who committed this act are brought to justice. Mr. Speaker, She has also asked what's the motive. I think the motive is the subject of investigation. Let's allow the investigations to go on. It will eventually reveal to us who exactly did it and why, Mr. Speaker. There are many indications, almost like the whole indications show that this is a crime that happened within the police station. Mr. Speaker, if it is confirmed that it happened within the police station, Mr. Speaker, I believe, Mr. Speaker, that those who will be found should be held accountable. But, Mr. Speaker, we must also find resources to expeditiously make our police station safe haven for those who are going to there to get justice and particularly to be brought before justice. Mr. Speaker, on Senator Manzo, is raised a very valid question. There are a host of regulations that whose period was terminated was past 10 years, and we had an omnibus extension that happened. But now there has to be, as I told you, there is a review process for the service standing orders. When eventually the review is done, it will be brought to this House and the National Assembly for purpose of approval. And I agree with you. It is not true that a policy must come here for it to be effective. That's not true. But for a policy to be a sessional paper, it must come to this House and therefore approved by Parliament. But if we want to have a policy for the sake of a policy, it can be adopted by the Cabinet after public participation processes, and it can still work as a national policy. Mr. Speaker, I want to confirm to Senator Seki and all others who are talking about whether or not I know whether the DIG should be held accountable or not, that I do not hold a brief to defend or in any way to accuse him. Mr. Speaker, I believe as a lawyer that evidence must lead to the suspect. And Mr. Speaker, when that evidence leads to that suspect, Mr. Speaker, in my office and any other office of government, no one should be able to block any processes of justice. What I hope we cannot do as a nation is that we cannot sanctify a process, a very heinous act that was done by criminals, somehow maybe through even a mob justice, if I put it that way. We cannot sanitize it, Mr. Speaker, by also carrying out mob justice against the other people. We must always, if we are calling for equity, Mr. Speaker, we must come with clean hands. If we are calling for justice, we must be ready to follow the legal processes, Mr. Speaker, so that we can lead us to the response. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Chute asked the question of, generally just captured the issue of OCS Marwa. OCS Marwa is a person known to me personally. I was with him in Marsabit just not long ago. And Mr. Speaker, most of these police officers are suffering. Mr. Speaker, a lot of them are sacrificing for their country. I went to see some of the police officers who have suffered because of the operations in Boni Forest, protecting our country in the border. Those who are doing a lot of operations in the Kerio Valley region and issues of banditry and the eastern and upper eastern areas. Mr. Speaker, there are many police officers who are sacrificing their time and energy to protect this country. Mr. Speaker, this cannot be a representation of the police officers. There are very few elements in the police office who are errant, who are violating the law, Mr. Speaker, but that does not mean we do generalization that the entire 120,000 police officers are all culpable. Mr. Speaker, even in this reform process and the work we have been doing, we've been trying to edify and praise those who are doing a good job, even, Mr. Speaker, as we hand over to a justice system process to those like the ones who have committed this heinous act to be held into account. Senator Tango has asked me, who is killing Kenyans? Mr. Speaker, that is a very good question, but better answered, Mr. Speaker, from an investigation process. Again, when I come back with a statement that was capturing the protests, the deaths that happened in the protests last year, when all of us, including Senator Tangwa and the group were on one side. Mr. Speaker, I will be coming with that statement back to the floor of this House. And Mr. Speaker, when I do so, we will interrogate all the people who suffered as a result of that protest, Mr. Speaker. And again, we'll be able to know how far the investigation have gone. So let me not use this opportunity to enlist it because already that statement is with your office, Mr. Speaker. The day I will be called again, and we were supposed to interrogate today, but the day I'll be called again, we can be able to look at these issues. But Mr. Speaker, every case is investigated independently. And Mr. Speaker, every person who is held culpable is brought before justice. Mr. Speaker, Senator Kisang has said a true thing that, Mr. Speaker, perhaps, Mr. Speaker, we should be also expending our energy to make sure that, Mr. Speaker, we deal with banditry. We are doing everything possible. Mr. Speaker, let me say this. The problem of banditry, particularly where Senator Kisang comes from, which is also my home county, Mr. Speaker, and the entire Kerio Valley, has been a problem since 1975. Mr. Speaker, it had been so intensified the last 2 years that it was a big problem 2 years ago. Mr. Speaker, the statistics I have, and I really challenge anyone to call me to come with the numbers here, is that between January 2024 and June 2024, Mr. Speaker, in comparison to January 2025 and June 2025, we've reduced the incidences of cattle rustling by more than half, Mr. Speaker. That is a tremendous progress. And it's because of police officers who are sacrificing their time and energy to deal with issues of banditry in the Kerio Valley. You heard Senator Ezena speaking here that some time ago, but Samburu was terrible. And Mr. Speaker, we are working hard to make sure that we deal with this issue, even as we fight the bigger issue of proliferation of small arms, the access of ammunition from the neighboring countries, porous borders, and all the challenges that we go through. Our police officers are doing everything. And being a person who sat in this chamber again, and I've been challenged and raised serious issues about banditry, Mr. Speaker, I have the responsibility to do everything to make sure that that region, Mr. Speaker, we get rid of bandits, and we are doing so. And therefore, Senator Kisang has referred to the case of Father Alois. Mr. Speaker, there is an ongoing, first let me say this, in Kerio Valley region, the entire belt of the Kerio Valley is now pacified, except a corner in Marakwet where Kisang is talking about between Marakwet, West Pokot, and Baringo in Tiati constituency, and a corner also in Loruk in Baringo County, and then some incidences in Samburu, and a corner also between Samburu and Meru and Isiolo. The Speaker, they have absolutely nothing. They are lofty statements, Mr. Speaker. Sometimes, big statements, lofty, but have no statistics, have no reference to anything. They have absolutely no reference to the performance of the officers. And Mr. Speaker, I'm very happy that some of these critiques that criticize the Cabinet Secretary...
Honorables, yes. We will have
the last. I have the last answer, Mr. Speaker. I still have
two more.
Thank
you, Honorables. Yes.
Two more, Mr. Speaker. I was just saying on this particular issue, the good news is that those who are targeting the Cabinet Secretary, at least they have no problem with the IG and National Police Service. So for their political good, if they want to run with my name, they can do so. Mr. Speaker, on the issue of Senator Okinyu, Esther Esi, I want to say that as a ministry, we will extend our hand of support to the family. We will reach out to the widow, Mr. Speaker, the parents, and the extended family to see how best we can work together to support them, Mr. Speaker, at this moment of grief, and to see how we can support their family. Mr. Speaker, on the question of Senator Nyamu, Mr. Speaker, again, she was raising the same issue about the protests that happened last year and the people who were affected. And I beg your indulgence, Mr. Speaker, to answer that question together with the statement that was already before this House. Mr. Speaker, Senator Chereke has continuously continued with his song of the minister must resign. Mr. Speaker, I think it's important to say this, because I will be coming to this House over and over again. And every time I came to this House since I was appointed a minister, this same senator is only talking about Murkomen must resign. Mr. Speaker, when I was the Minister of Roads and Transport, Cherege used to argue that I must resign because many people are dying because of road accidents. When I left the ministry, Mr. Speaker, he has gone quiet. Suddenly, there are no road accidents. Mr. Speaker, when I went to the Ministry of Sports, it is the same Senator Cherege who kept saying I must resign. In fact, in one incident, there is a team that went for a volleyball tournament and they lost. And he said the minister must resign. Mr. Speaker, since I left the sports ministry, he has never been able to talk about performance of the volleyball team or the football team, and he never said that I must resign. When I came to this ministry, Mr. Speaker, he never waited for 2 months. He said the minister must resign. Mr. Speaker, all this resignation is compounded around a theme of the minister is incompetent. Mr. Speaker, Senator Cherargei was my student. I taught him not one subject, not two subjects, more than two subjects. Mr. Speaker, his performance was below average. Mr. Speaker, he has no legitimacy at all, Mr. Speaker, to question my competence or performance.
Honorable
Mr. Speaker,
Honorable CS,
and I will table the results if it is required.
Honorable CS, Honorable CS, the academic performance of any senator is not something to be debated here.
I will go further, Mr. Speaker. I will not even talk about this.
Honorable CS, kindly conclude and allow the other witnesses.
Mr. Speaker, since you gave him good time.
We only have 20 minutes to be shared.
I need 2 minutes of right of reply, Mr. Speaker, and I will be done.
Conclude.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, when I was a senator here, the biggest debate I ever had in this chamber was police brutality against the senators who are being arrested so that they don't vote in this house. Mr. Speaker, when I stood in this chamber and told the Speaker he must not sacrifice Kenya, it was because Senator Malala had been arrested, Senator Keleleko had been arrested, Senator Lagat has been arrested, Mr. Speaker, to reduce the numbers of people who are voting to defend people from marginalized areas, including Kilifi County. Mr. Speaker, that time, Senator Cherargei was opposed to any process. He told the Speaker in this chamber, and the answer will bear me witness, that we must progress and vote because, Mr. Speaker, he cared less. Mr. Speaker, if performance is anything to go by, anyone else can assess my performance, not Senator Cherargei, Mr. Speaker, in that regard. Mr. Speaker, I want to say this, that and I can say many things, which I don't need to say here, but I want to conclude by saying, Mr. Speaker, this chamber is a very serious house. If I always have to come here for one individual to always be talking about incompetence, he must resign. That is a normal song every day. He doesn't provide evidence, except what he used to do here to ask questions, Mr. Speaker, that are procured from out there. What else does Senator Cherargei feel like he has done in this country? I must say that we must respect each other. We must respect people's offices. We must respect it. And when people question you the way some senators have questioned me here and asked me about my performance, I respect them because it's objective. But not every time you say this and that, Mr. Speaker, he reduces this august house, which I served gladly, Mr. Speaker, to a place of vendetta. Mr. Speaker, I beg to submit and I thank you.
The IG, please. You may take the stand and respond to the questions that have been directed to you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Let me once again start by saying that myself and the National Police Service deeply regret the unfortunate events that resulted in the death of Mr. Albert Ojwang while in the police custody. The service extends its sincere condolences to the family and loved ones of the deceased during this very difficult time. In line with our commitments to accountability and transparency, again, I would urge IPOA to move with speed so that it can be able to tell us who are these who committed this heinous crime at the Central Police Station, so that at the end of the day, they can be able to face the raw square and answer to their crimes. Having said that, Honorable Speaker, let me start by saying that I've already apologized for the erroneous reporting that was done at that very early stages when this kind of crime was realized. And number two, that has since been rectified because we have even seen the outcomes of the autopsy that was done yesterday. In terms of compensation, my CS has actually discussed on what the way forward in terms of getting in touch with the family and assisting where we can be able, and we support that cause completely. The status of the deceased when he was brought in to Central Police Station was normal. That information, the status of the deceased when he was brought in to the Central Police Station at that 23 hours, the status was normal. The number of hours that was spent while driving from Homa Bay, that was Maweni Police Station to Central Police Station, that was roughly 5 hours, 15 minutes because the team left Maweni Police Station at around 16:00 hours and arrived in Nairobi at around 21:17 hours, roughly 5 hours and some minutes from Homa Bay to Nairobi. There is that question of why not invite the suspect to come to record statements at the nearest police station. The DCI is going to deal with that one, Honorable Speaker. This question of why the OCS had to be consulted before the suspect was placed in the cells, again, the DCI is going to answer for it very, very, very clearly, Honorable Speaker. There was also the question why the late Albert Ojwang had an opportunity was given an opportunity to call the spouse. When I was here previously answering the other questions, I did indicate that the police officers are well trained on how to treat suspects and other Kenyans alike. It is on that basis that he was given that opportunity to check on his family and even report that he has safely arrived in Nairobi. And I also indicated that police officers are always on the forefront in the defense of the rights and freedom of the people. That is our training. That is my training. So it is on that basis that he was actually given that opportunity.
Two minutes to go.
Now, in terms of processing persons of interest, the question is whether the numbers, the persons of interest have actually been exhausted. I think that one will be effectively answered by IPOA, who are actually investigating on the same, Honorable Speaker. There was also the question as to whether Eliud Lagat could be paraded before the House to hear his side of story. I think again, Honorable Speaker, that's a decision that again, this House can consider. Whether there are different sets of laws for different sets of people or groups. Our laws are for everybody, nobody is above the law. And the DIG was explained by the DCI. He did launch his complaint in writing to the DCI. And the DCI, in his wisdom, had a team to look into that complaint. And that is basically, as he explained, how that investigations commenced. There was also the question of who is the DCI officer who booked Albert in the cells. The names are also there with the IPO, and I believe the IPO is going to provide for that.
So, IG, you are referring quite a number of things to DCI and IPO.
Yes.
Kindly allow DCI to take the stand.
Thank you, DCI.
And DCI, I'll give you 8 minutes.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, one was what is my message to the family? The message simply is that we will play any legal role to have justice for the family and confidence by the public towards the police. And we shall go out of our way to make sure that we accord all the support and cooperation to the investigations currently underway, currently being undertaken by IPOA. Senator Odinga, whether there are different laws, I would like to confirm, Honorable Speaker, that we don't have different set of laws. The laws apply equally as enacted by our parliament. And the law says any person. So we are not selective as officers of the National Police Service in the application of the laws. Suffice to say, however, that the perception of defamation is relative and may be construed differently by different people. Why the officers gave a chance to the suspect, the IG has very well explained that. It is part of the reform process, and it is normal for us to grant the suspect telephone facility, so that was actually a request made by the suspect, so that he could contact his wife and family members. And it's also a clear testimony of our adherence to the Constitution, the fundamental freedoms, and the Bill of Rights. Senator Manzo alluded to the possibility of the deceased having been injured by the DCI officers who effected the arrest. Honorable Speaker, honorable members, I may not wish to dwell on this matter. In my earlier presentation, I was able to give a chronology and the graphic details of the movement of the suspect all the way from Homa Bay up to Central Police Station. And I'm sure these are issues the Independent Police Oversight Authority will investigate to its logical conclusion. Like I said, if any DCI officer is found to be involved in the killing, then, Honorable Speaker, let the law take its course. We are not covering up for anybody. In terms of the DCI officer who booked Albert Ojwang, the booking was not done by a DCI officer, Honorable Speaker. Like I had said in my previous submission, the booking was done digitally by a report office personnel. And I'm sure the particular officer, the identity of that particular officer will be established in the investigations. Why not summon? Honorable Speaker, when it comes to investigations, particularly on matters of computer and cyber crimes, it isn't a walk in the park. You are starting your investigations from the unknown to the unknown. You are dealing with persons operating from dark webs, persons running pseudo accounts, persons whose accounts are domiciled in other jurisdictions. At the commencement of our investigations, Honorable Speaker, we did not know the true identity of Albert Ojwang. We were only dealing with an ex-handle, a person whose identity was not known to us, and it was therefore not possible for us to summon him. It took a lot of efforts, a lot of expertise for us to unveil the identity of the owner of that ex-handle. And that's why it was not possible for us to summon the late Albert Kajwang up to the point where the officers went and arrested him. Sometimes again, and this applies to a general investigative technique, Honorable Speaker, some summons might be prejudicial or even interfere with our investigative processes. Like you are investigating a cybercrime and you want to recover a computer from a suspect. You cannot just summon that suspect to come and report to the police station. What is the risk? You have the risk of that suspect deleting the information that you require to use as evidence in court. So that's why sometimes we may not opt to summon suspects, but to go for them. Somebody has material exhibits, documents that you believe are crucial to your investigations. You cannot just summon him. Summon him will give him ample time to destroy and interfere with those exhibits, Honorable Speaker. In terms of who issued the orders to have Albert Ojwang ferried from Homa Bay to Nairobi, Honorable Speaker, we don't micromanage our investigation processes. We give the officers their leeway to make decisions. We have professional officers who are well guided by the service standing orders, officers who are well guided by our guide to the criminal investigations. For example, Honorable Speaker, if a car is stolen in Lodwar and the suspect is arrested in Homa Bay, the court that has competent jurisdiction is that court which is domiciled in Lodwar. So it will be futile for an investigating officer to come and ask his commander whether he will take the suspect to Lodwar or he will be prosecuted in Homa Bay for that matter. So those are very simple operational and tactical matters that we leave the officers for the officers to make their determinations as guided by the service standing orders. Harmony House from Homa Bay, the Inspector General has explained that. And there was
This year you have 1 minute to conclude.
1 minute to conclude, Honorable Speaker. I would like to reiterate the fact that DIG Lagat has no command over IPOA. His command is limited to Kenya Police Service. I am urging this August House that the general mood in the country should not be used to victimize DIG Lagat. Let us wait for the investigations to establish the circumstances under which Albert Ojwang met his death. Thank you, and I submit, Honorable Speaker.
IPOA, you may take the stand.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want to, first of all, answer a concern that has been raised on my chair. And I spoke to him during the break. We got the notice of this particular sitting yesterday when he was already out of the country. But as we speak, he's finding his way into Kenya. He's coming back because we have a similar sitting tomorrow with the Parliamentary Committee. And together with me, Speaker, today are 3 commissioners and the CEO of the authority. So we are taking this matter with the seriousness that it deserves. And one of the commissioners present today, Honorable Jacqueline Lukalo, attended the autopsy process on our behalf. So, Honorable Speaker, I had questions that were asked. One of them was the clarity from Senator Siege, Senator Murago, and Senator Mandago. Our preliminary findings show that the young man, Ojwang, was alone in the cell, and the neighboring cell where we have had 2 witnesses, one has recorded a statement, they have said they had loud screams from that particular cell. But unfortunately, Honorable Speaker, the cells are not numbered. So we are also giving a recommendation for the cells to be numbered so that a cell is allocated vis-a-vis a person in the OB. The next concern was by Senator Wambua on the safety. I hope I got the name right. On the safety of our investigators and our officers. Honorable Speaker, our investigators especially are not safe, going by the fact that they're investigating armed police officers. But in the same light, in the security service laws, which are headed by the CS Interior, we are seeking for licensing to carry firearms. We were recently in South Africa, and our counterpart, IPID, the body that a lot was borrowed to the formation of IPOA, they have licenses to carry firearms, and in the same light, also the right to arrest, the powers to arrest, and also the powers to prosecute. So that is something we are pursuing through the legal reforms in the security services laws. There was also a question on Senator Hezena on tampering of the CCTV. And I had said we have engaged experts on the retrieval of the same. And we have the DVR, that is like the motherboard of the CCTV with us. So that is what we will use to reconstruct the evidence if we are able to get, after the information that we'll get from the expert. As I had indicated, Chair, the investigations are ongoing, so I believe we'll have more information as we go by. There was also a question by, I believe, the forensic laboratory. And we have a small forensic laboratory at the authority that we use, especially on the small cases. But in most cases, we have been referring to the DCI laboratory. And that is why in the same security service laws, we are seeking for an independent forensic laboratory, especially on the issues of ballistics. But on the government chemist, like what we have sent currently on blood and tissue samples, that one we work with them. And we also have partners that we have signed MOU with who have the capacity of the same laboratories. I believe, Chair, I have answered the questions, but there was one on the DIG. And as I had indicated, we are taking statements from the officers who are at the station. In total, there are 17. And I believe if the investigation and the evidence that we are getting would lead to any other officer, including senior officers, to be investigated, we'll have no problem in calling them in or summoning them into IPOA to give us the evidence that is required. With that, with what we are receiving today, as Professor Kamar has asked, what is leading? I've said we interviewed specifically. We asked for information from the OCS because the CCTV is domiciled in his office. So after today, I believe we'll be able to have a report that we'll give to the committee as our progress report. And I believe, as Honorable Sigei said, we'll be able to work in less than the 10 days to submit the file to the ODPP. But we seek for cooperation from the Senate, Honorable Speaker. We have a small budget. We are really understaffed. We have 77 investigators across the country. So we are hoping that we will get that support to be able to fulfill our mandate. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. We have 3 minutes for further clarifications. We'll go back to the move of this business, Senator Eddy, and then Senator Metha. We have 3 minutes to do this. Senator Eddy, you may proceed. Senator Eddy, if you don't have any clarification, you may yield to your colleagues.
Because of time, Mr. Speaker, I have 3 very quick clarifications in under 2 minutes. Does the minister, or rather the CS and the IG, appreciate what senators have talked about on the issue of DIG, given that this is somebody who has died in the cells and the possibility of cannibalization of the process by one senior member of the authority ends the call for him to resign? That's question number 1. Question number 2, on the on the IG, who are your key suspects?
5, 4, 3, 2, 0.
Welcome. Home run with Pippi.
Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. Karibu sana kwenye kipindi siku hii ya leo. Majina ni MC Pepita, you can call me Pipi. June was supposed to be my happy month, before I turned, 2 years of home run with Pipi. But it has turned out to be one of those most chaotic months I've experienced in my life, and it's so tumultuous. Lakini yote 9-10 ni kwamba I didn't expect to hear some young man had lost his life in a police cell. Na hiyo kitu imekuwa ni kitu ambayo inauma watu all across the country, and tumekuwa na hisia tofauti, and imekuwa hivyo ni kwa sababu hiyo imebidi kwamba Senate ya nchi ya Kenya ikaamua kumuita waziri wa mambo ya ndani, waziri Kipchumba Murkomen aka mwalimu wa Cherargei Okay, sasa ndio, alafu ikamleta Douglas Kanja ambaye ni inspector general wa polisi, na bado ikamleta pia wacha ndawapatia jina lake, ambaye ni vice chair wa IPOA, ambaye huyo ndo alitumwa pale kwa sababu yeye ndio alikuwa available, ikiwa kwamba mwenyekiti bwana Isaka sana ambaye alikuwa pia anaitwa jina lake Anne Wanjiku ndio alikuwa bunge leo. Anasema kwamba mwenye alikuwa anafaa kuwa pale ambaye ni Isaka sana, kama daktari alikuwa amekwenda alikuwa amekwenda pale amesafiri nje ya nchi, lakini atarudi kesho kwa muda kuongea na the sitting committee or the committee on security which will be sitting on tomorrow. So yeah, nchi ya sinema inaendelea vizuri na nashukuru kwa nyinyi kuwa na mimi hapa. Inamaanisha sinema sinema yetu ya bunge raiva mwanzo itisha mike wewe tuonge. Yo Evans, how are you? Huko ndo nataka kwenda.
Pivita,
Yeah.
I am going to Parliament in 2027 and I am going to change a lot of things in this country. You know, for a long time, we have been taken for a ride and we are not, it's high time that we disallow this bullshit. Allow me to use that word in your show today. For a long time, Kenyans have been taken for a ride and we're not ready for this anymore. How many more shall be killed until we take the necessary actions, Pipita? Pipita, I've listened to those interrogation questions by the Senate carefully. And one thing that is not being answered by these people who are being interrogated is one question. Who killed Albert? That question was not answered. People are just giving kizungu mingi and going around the wall. But we need answers, Pipita. Personally, I'm very mad. I am extremely mad. And as aspiring leader in this country, I am mad because an innocent young life can just be taken away like that. And people think that they're in authority. They think that they're in power. They think that they can call people and things can just disappear like that. Pipita, we must define the kind of country that we want to have moving forward. We want to have a country where no blood shall be lost. We are a country protected by the Constitution of Kenya. We have articles, we have sections, we have caps that clearly define what needs to be done when somebody is arrested, rights of an arrested person, the Bill of Rights. So what makes the police, whether it's the DCI, whether it is the NIS, whatever part or function of the security organ in this country, think that they can meanly just take the life of an innocent young person because they do not have a godfather, Pipita. Pipita, we have reached a level in this country where if you do not have a godfather, you just disappear like that. Let's remember one thing, that there was a guy by the name Denzel. Denzel died. Denzel, after the June 25th demos that we had last year, Denzel was picked. I suppose, and I think it is by the same DCI, because personally I've been a victim of the DCI. And today as a Tobo, I don't care. The good thing, they can't come for me. They can't. Even if I have 5,000 youths behind me. Wajaribu waone. Denzel was captured at a time when we were at the peak of the Maandamano. Denzel was brutally tortured. You know, he was killed and then he was dumped in a quarry. Denzel was coming from Homa Bay. We had quarry victims. The same DCI came up with a narrative, Pipita. And that's why we are saying that we need to define the kind of country that we want to have, especially when it comes to security matters and adherence to the rule of law. And they came up with a narrative. They came up with a story. And the story that the DCI came up with was about somebody, I don't even remember his name. They were saying he was coming from Western Uganda, I don't know. Then this guy disappeared out of the police cells. And to date, he has not been found. They ended up parading underwears of women, saying this guy was a misogynist, was a sexist, killing women and all that. But what they didn't tell us is who put those bodies in the quarry? Who are the real victims? Who are the killers? Peter, we must deny and refuse impunity in this country. I am talking like this because I am a young person representing almost the lives of 50,000 youths behind me. And if we want to define the kind of country that we have, one of the things that we must really define is that no young person, in fact, not even a young person, nobody in any age, alive and healthy in this country, should ever die in the hands of the people who are supposed to protect them. And I have observed and listened to this charade, of PR by the DCI, by Kanja, and by IPOA. One thing we know, these are political appointees. They're appointed by the head of state and the people in the executive. They will always do everything to protect the interests of the where they eat. One question that we ask today is, who killed Albert? And Peter, it shall not be business as usual. Why am I saying so? Yesterday they came for Albert. The other day they came for Denzel. Tomorrow they'll come for you and me. Who shall speak for you? Who shall speak for me? Dooms to you, Peter.
Hello, naweza changia kidogo.
Let me just finish, then you changia. Let me finish and then you changia. I'm about to land, my brother. Peter, when these things happen, and then we see the people who are prime suspects in such a murder walking scot-free, they're still in office. In fact, as we're talking right now, DIG Lagat was supposed to have, resigned or been interdicted and being interrogated for the murder of this young man. So, what is my point here? We must not allow this impunity to continue. We must be able to bring to book the people who killed this young man. How many people have they killed? And it was just lucky enough that Albert was one of them who was brought to limelight. How many of them are being killed daily, but do not have the chance or the opportunity that their fate can be brought to social media? So we are saying no, that is number one. Number two, we are projecting our voice for justice for Albert. Number two. And number three, what I'm saying is IG Lagat must resign from office immediately and must be booked to the nearest police station for investigations. And number four, we must find the people who killed Albert. Who gave them instructions to do so? Because that was not answered in that interview that I've listened to in the Senate. And we want to bring these people to book. And this is something that should never happen again. I rest my case, Peter.
Thank you for that submission, Bwana Evans. You are the one to start us. Nimesikia kuna mtu alikuwa na kitu ya kusema.
Ladies and gentlemen, join Home Run with PP every weekday from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. only on X Spaces. Home Run with PP, the home of your most valuable social conversation.
Today we start a dual coverage of Bunge because tomorrow we'll be back again in Bunge covering the budget 2025-2026, which will be about 4.239 trillion. Waiting for 3? Leon. Yes, 4.253 trillion ambayo itakuwa inasomwa na himself, the expert, one and only ODM sent Master of Finance himself, FCPA John Mbadi. Yes, we'll be listening to that. But today, in Parliament, they had the minister, that is the Cabinet Secretary Interior, Onesmus Kipchumba Murkomen, the assistant chairperson of the IPOA, that is Miss Anne Wanjiku, and the Inspector General Police, Mr. Douglas Kanja. And their main business was to answer the question behind the Albert Ojwang death that seems to have a lot of contagious issues. So there's been a lot of questions raised by MPs. There's still a Senate, a parliamentary sitting tomorrow on security that will go to sit down with now the IG, ask the questions, of course. But it seems like I left that whole parliamentary sitting the same way I came. I'd like to hear what you think, but I felt like the IG didn't say anything. Murkomen alitumia IG akatupia DCI akatupia IPOA, alafu IPOA akasema we are still investigating. And then, ladies and gentlemen, in classic Kenya Kwanza fashion, the IPOA decided to tell us the truth about how many investigators are situated across the country. These are people who are supposed to investigate what? Crime that has been committed by police. Watu wangu, to investigate over 20,000 police officers who might commit a crime at some point. Ladies and gentlemen, Kenya has an amazing number of police officers, investigators under IPOA, and the number is 77. Tony Khan.
Good evening.
Good evening to you.
Okay, thank you very much for giving me this chance. I am very happy I've had Evan speaking, and he has spoken exactly what I was intending to speak. One thing with our country is that most youths and many people are dying, the investigations begin, tension is created across the country, but it eventually fades after people believe that the investigations are still going on. And that has been the matter ever since. This time we must do something very special that will at least impact, that will be of great change. It is very sad that Albert Ojwang is dead and he died in the hands of police. That thing should not be taken lightly, and I've been disappointed that no answer has yet been given by the three people who have been representing the police. The cabinet secretary, Onesmus Kipchumba, never answered the question on who killed Albert Ojwang and why did it happen. In fact, he forwarded it to the IG, of which the IG forwarded it elsewhere. And I hope that this thing shall not fade. We just want justice. And if we are needed anywhere, we will appear and we will do all it takes at least to get justice. One very important thing Evans has said, if they came for Albert and they murdered him, and I'm here representing people, more than 50,000 people, I'm nothing special. They will still come for me. If Peter, you are nothing special, they will still come for you. If we don't bring that change, they will come for us. So it is up to us. If the government cannot, if the government cannot act, we will act on their behalf. That is all I have for today.
All right, thank you, Bwana Tony Khan. Let me go to Japonji. Japonji, nini wewe una spread fake news? Kwani ujui ku fact check?
Pipi, tuliza. Pipi, back to serious issue. First of all, condolences to the family of Albert Ojwang. It's Betty, wacha kucheka. We are in a funeral. This is a very serious matter. But, after listening to that Bunge live, there are things I was expecting some questions. Nikasikia ukina sijui Karen Nyamu, fahamu zimepotea. But I'm not shocked. I was not even expecting her to reason that way. After all, she was just nominated.
So there's one thing that is coming up. The phrase guilty until proven innocent. And this is what captures the apparent violation of Ojwang's right and the presumption of guilt without fair trial. This contradicts the Constitution of Kenya principle of you are innocent until proven guilty. Because people, what it means is that I can just go to the police station, and tell the police that, you know what, pipi amenikosea. Then people unashikwa. Unaget? Unashikwa. Once umeshikwa, sasa it's you, unaget, to prove the burden, you have the burden of proof. Whether that case is valid or not. Unaget? Then from there, you have to pay money, like bail, they will talk up and they can put you actually there for 7 days. That is what is happening now, today. Mtu anaweza tu kwenda kwa polisi kusema people did this and this and then inaandikwa kwa ubi nini unaget, alafu unashikwa, unaget. But this one, complainant mwenyewe anajificha. It took sijui how many hours wakiongea kwa parliament ndio tujue complainant ni nani. And alafu the next thing, how can you go all the way to arrest someone, unaget, and you don't have even a single evidence? Unajua, yani, you've not even done your due diligence. Yani unaenda tu kushika mtu, alafu that is the saying they always say, people, that utasema mbele. Ukiuliza polisi, but this is common and it's not new. Unashikwa, alafu polisi anakuambia, unamuuliza, why am I being arrested? Anakuambia, utajulia mbele. So first of all, so it's you to spend money, okay? Your bails do what? For something you don't even know, charges zenye haziko. So they can put you in cell while cooking charges. It should be first, they look for those charges and evidence before they arrest you. That is the problem I have with this government. As opposed to other countries, at least watatafuta kitu ya unajua, there has to be some evidence before they arrest you. So they will say, we are arresting you for this. You have the right, But Kenya, no, it's the other way around. Wewe tuende huko, ile makosa umefanya hata sisi hatujui. Tutajulia mbele pamoja. That is the problem I have. And they are not bringing that very clear in that debate. And PP, first they came for Chege. And I did not speak out because I was not a Gen Z. Then they came for the bloggers. And I did not speak out because I'm not a blogger. Then they came for the digital activists, and I did not speak out because I'm not a digital activist. Then when they came for me, there was no one left to speak for me. That is what is happening. I was also expecting them to ask, according to the NPS, National Police Service Act 2011, and the Constitution 2010, which addresses the international human rights standards, like individual criminal responsibility. See, a police officer who carries out an unlawful killing, even under orders, is criminally liable for their actions. Before tuangalie uko juu, the individual criminal responsibility. Pipi, if you are a police na mdozi wako amekwambia uende uwe mtu, you must take that individual criminal responsibility. The National Police Service Act stipulates that lethal force is only justified when strictly necessary to protect life. I was expecting maswali kama hizo. There is also something called command responsibility. Superiors who issue unlawful orders leading to a killing can be held liable under the doctrine of command responsibility. And this is in the Kenyan legal practice. I was expecting them also to talk more about that. And then the other one is the excessive use of force. If a police officer uses excessive force beyond what is reasonably necessary, although your reasonably necessary is a gray area, then they are also criminally responsible for the excess. This is a criminal case. And then finally, reporting and oversight. Police officers must report any use of lethal force to their superiors. But sasa here it makes sense. Joe, how do you report your senior to CG to IPOA? Your days will be numbered. And finally, as I learn PP, the question today is that we are going to bed with, who is this person here in this country who is going to put that bell in the neck of the lion? Yeah, we know the lion, we need to put the bell there. But who is this courageous? Who is this person who is going to put that bell in the neck of the lion? And I yield. Thank you, Pipi.
All right. Thank you, Japonji, for raising your concerns. I see Dr. Mofo is here with us. You can join the mic or request the microphone here, and I'll give you the chance to speak to us. Dr. Mofo, how are you doing?
Hi, Peter. How is your evening?
I am well, just pushing on.
Thank you, Peter, for yet another opportunity to have this kind of discussions. Peter, I've taken my time to listen to the exchange of discussions and questioning in the Senate. But one thing I can tell you authoritatively, it was marred and shrouded with shenanigans, waste of time and resources, and absolutely nothing came out of it. Absolutely came out of it. If the Senate wanted to be constructive in the way they conducted themselves and come up with clear answers to clear questions, they should have taken their time and structured their questions appropriately and have a few people ask those questions and get concrete answers. When you diffuse such a discussion into an opportunity where you ask about 50 people to ask questions, I mean, so many things will get lost along the way. And so many critical questions will not be fielded. And the people who are supposed to answer questions will, take opportunity to elude questions and answer the questions they only want. You saw how Murkomen was there when he responded to Cheragay. That's the kind of discussions we should have had if at all these people were given equal opportunity to answer concrete questions. But that said and done, is one thing that came out very clear, that we all need to understand what it means in terms of the ranks within the police. Peter, I do not know whether you've been to a police station for whatever reason. I've been to one. And I've been to a section where I'm dealing with the DCI, the investigating officers. Usually the investigating officers, they have a secluded room, what they call the DCI office, away from the main police station. And whenever I've been there and the OCS approaches, every person runs for their life. The OCS is feared to death. Because, for example, he can decide you're fit in your career. He can decide to give a very bad recommendation. He is your boss. He can decide you'll be transferred, say, from a prestigious police station where all these people are looking to be attached to, Central Police, Kamkonji, Ruiru, and send you to Marsabit, and you'll be forgotten there. And when you saw what happened, for example, I alluded to the issue that is going on with Samido, where he's been moved from Central Police to a remote area. It is not a promotion. Let's not lie to ourselves. It is a demotion. It is a punishment. And so what am I saying? If the OCS can be so much feared by the fellow police officers who are almost the same in terms of seniority, what about the DIG? What about the DIG saying, I am asking the OCS from this police station, send for this guy? What am I saying? The police operate in what would be equivalent to the martial law. You take orders, you follow them, then later you'll ask, why were those instructions given? You don't ask beforehand. And so we need to understand who is DIG, who is this Lagat. Secondly, we must be in a position to distinguish between Lagat and Kanja, who is the boss to who. I do not know whether you guys understand very well that up to now, it is for formality reasons that Mr. Kanja is the IG. But remember also, Lagat had been interviewed for the same position. In fact, due to proximity to power and association with the people in power, in this case, we are talking about people like Mr. William Ruto, who is the president. We are talking about people like Murkomen, who is internal security. Then I put it to you that Mr. Kanja might be taking orders from the DIG. What am I saying? There is perpetual, indisputable, advertent effort by Kanja to cover up. And not only cover up, how they do it in police, because they want to avoid something they call the police perjury. This is where a police will be cited having given wrong information under the oath. They tend to say, I do not know. They tend to say someone else is under questions. And we saw this kind of blame being pushed away by Kanja.